Everyone, happy Saturday. Welcome back to Clues by Sam. We finally have a hard one today. It is very, very nice. If you're new here, don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily logic puzzle where there are 20 people on a board and each of them is either a criminal or an innocent, and we have to figure out what they are using the clues that they give us. So, no guessing, the criminals don't lie, and you can follow along with me by clicking the link in the description to play today's. I'm gonna be explaining the logic as I solve, hopefully getting a perfect solve. Let's see how hard this actually is. So we start today's with Kita telling us that Emily is one of three instants above Zola. Emily is an instant. There's four people total above Zola, and one of them only is a criminal. So we gotta keep that in mind. But now Emily says that column A is the only column with exactly two criminals. Column A. We know that column D couldn't have a second criminal now, right? Because there's one criminal above Zola, and there's only Zola beyond those four people above her in column D. So if she was a criminal, then column D would have two criminals as well as column A. So Zola has to be an instant. That's what we learned from Emily's clue. And we're going to leave that there to remind us the total for column A. Now, Sola says there are exactly three instances above Vicky. Vicky. Vicky is right here. She also has four people above her, and there's only her left. In column B, beyond the people above her, three of the people above her. So same situation as Zola. There's three instances above her, one criminal, which means there couldn't be a second criminal in that column, so Vicky has to be an innocent. So same situation here. Now we don't need Zola's clue anymore. Vicky says that only one of the two criminals neighboring Olsie is above Tina. Where's Olsie? Olsie has 8 people neighboring them. 2 of those 8 are criminals, which means 6 innocents. And one of those 2 is above Tina. So either Kyle or Peter are gonna be one criminal. That means, first of all, that these 2 are opposites, so we tag them with yellow. And whatever one yellow is, the other yellow is going to be the opposite. But that also means that the single criminal we know is in column D is one of these guys, and Tina is not a criminal. So she's an innocent. And we still don't know where the second criminal is for Olsie. Now, Tina says there are more innocent farmers than innocent doctors. We have 2 doctors here who are opposites. So we know that there's one innocent and the other doctors on the board. We double click the card so it highlights the professions it is mentioning. So in this case, it highlights all of the doctors and all of the farmers, and I don't see a third doctor. But we know now that we have to have at least 2 farmers who are innocents to have more innocent farmers and innocent doctors. 2 is more than 1. Can we have all farmers be innocents? No, we can't. Why? Because all of the farmers are in column A. And if 3 more people in column A are innocents, there's no way for us to have enough criminals in column A, which we know from Emily there's 2. So, first of all, we know that we have to have at least 2 farmers who are criminals, right? So that means that one of the farmers has to be a criminal so we can have enough criminals in column A. But beyond that, there's only one person left in column A who could be a criminal, Uma. So that means that Uma has to be the second criminal here because we can't have 2 farmers be criminals, since that would make the same number of innocent farmers and innocent doctors. So Uma is a criminal. That's what we learned from that clue. We still don't know about any of the farmers though, so we leave that there. Uma now says that each row has at least 3 innocents. So row 5 needs a third innocent right now because it only has Vicky and Zola who are innocents. And there's only Wally left who could be an innocent, so Wally is an innocent. Now, Wally says that Elsie is one of Tina's 4 innocent neighbors. So Elsie is an innocent, and where's Tina? Oh, Tina has 4 innocent neighbors, but she has 5 neighbors total. So that makes only 1 criminal for her as well. And either Peter or Steve are going to be that criminal. If we know Do we know something? I fear I'm gonna have to put a lot of things together here because Elsie and Tina are sharing one criminal. But the thing is, if Peter is an innocent here, then both of Elsie's criminals. Oh, I say Peter is an innocent, then I make him a criminal. If Peter is an innocent here, then both of Elsie's criminals are accounted for. So what happens if Rose is a criminal? Is it Rose that I have to look for? Because let's think about Rose. We know that column B has only one criminal, right? I should have left solo school here because it reminds me of that. We know that column B has only one criminal. Let's say that that criminal is Rose. That would make Noah and Gus both innocents, and Chad as well. And it would make Steve an innocent because each row needs at least 3 innocents. Steve being an innocent makes Peter a criminal, which makes Kyle an innocent. Now both of Elsie's criminal neighbors are accounted for. And if Steve is a criminal, then Rose would have to be an innocent. But if Steve is a criminal, then both of the criminals for Elsie would be Kyle and Steve. Can Hope ever be a criminal? Let's try that. If Hope is a criminal, I'm afraid I'm gonna fall into my scenario testing mindset, which has been dooming me on the harder puzzles lately. So I'm trying to kind of avoid that and not be testing so many scenarios as opposite to like check what I have to check and work with the information I have. But I'm gonna try this out just to see if I get any insight. So Hope being a criminal, would it make it so that Peter has to be a criminal as well? Otherwise, Elsie would end up with 3 criminals. And then Chad would have to be the criminal in column B. But what do we get? What do we get? Do we get anything for Noah? Because let's think about Noah being a criminal. If Noah is a criminal and we know that each row has to have at least 3 innocents, then both Lila and Peter have to be innocents. And Peter being an innocent makes Kyle and Steve both criminals. So now there's too many criminals neighboring Elsie, which means that Noah couldn't be a criminal because Noah being a criminal kind of triggers all of this wrongness here. So Noah has to be an innocent. We get that. Noah just tells us straight off that Freya is an innocent, which is good because we get Lila and Ben being opposites. But we don't get any more information. And Freya doesn't tell us anything new. So, shall we look at Gus? Because I think Gus puts us in the same scenario. If we make Gus... if we make Gus a criminal, then both Hope and Kyle have to be innocents. And Kyle being an innocent, it does work. It does work. It does work. So Gus can be a criminal. Like, just to finish what I was saying, if Gus is a criminal, then Peter is the second and last innocent for Elsie, but that works for column B having only 1 criminal. It works for each row having at least 3 innocents. But what else do I look at? we know that Steve and Hope couldn't ever be both criminals, right? They could both be innocents. We just checked it. That these two guys being innocents works fine if Gus is a criminal. So where do I look next? Let's go back and check our clues. So column A is the only column with exactly two criminals. I'm trying to figure out if column C could have two criminals, but I don't think we have enough information for that yet. Emily is one of three innocents above. So we don't need that anymore because we have Kyle and Peter tagged. One of the two criminals every OC is above Tina. If I make Steve a criminal here, we know that Rose has to be an innocent, right? But that makes Kyle a criminal. That makes Kyle a criminal, yeah. Which forces both Gus and Hope to be innocents for OC. And that's fine. More innocent farmers than innocent doctors. I don't need that anymore either because I have tagged Lila and Ben. But Zola School is important to remind us that there's one criminal above Vicky. So who do I look at next? If I make Lila a criminal, then that forces Peter to be an innocent. And that's fine. Fine by me. I guess there is no way for David to be a criminal then, is it? I tried Hope being a criminal. And Hope being a criminal works because then Peter is the second and last criminal for OC. But does it work for row 1? Having 3 innocents, it doesn't. Oh, Ben is going to be a criminal, sorry. So that's why it doesn't, because I was thinking of, that does work. No, it doesn't because Lila being, let me explain the chain here. Hope being a criminal forces Gus and Kyle both to be innocents because each row has to have at least 3 innocents. And Kyle being an innocent makes Peter a criminal. Peter being a criminal forces Lila to be an innocent because each row needs at least 3 innocents. Lila being an innocent forces Ben to be a criminal. And both Gus and Rose being innocents because Peter is the last criminal neighbor for Elsie make Chad a criminal. So now there's too many criminals in row 1 because we need at least 3 innocents and there's not enough people to be 3 innocents in row 1. So no, Hope can't be a criminal. So that's a very nice path to get there, but you really gotta think about everybody that is being affected or putting all of the clues that we have open together. Now, Hope doesn't give us a new clue. So, who do I look at next? I mean, if I make David a criminal ever, I have to make Ben and Chad both innocents, which would break the rule that column A is the only one with 2 criminals because now column C has 2 criminals. And why is that? David being a criminal forces Ben and Chad to be innocent so that row 1 can have 3 innocents. Ben being an innocent makes Lila a criminal, which forces Peter to be an innocent so that row 3 has 3 innocents. Peter being an innocent forces Kyle and Steve to both be criminals, and Steve being a criminal along with David puts 2 criminals in column C. So David has to be an innocent. David now gives us a new clue. There's only one innocent in between Kita and Tina. So either Rose or Steve are gonna be a criminal. The other one's gonna be an innocent. Could it be Rose now? Because if I make Rose criminal, what happens? It solves the puzzle. Right? There's only one criminal in column B. There's no criminals in column C. OC has 2 criminals. There's 3 innocents in each row. 2 criminals in column A. So it works. What if I make Steve the criminal now? What happens to everybody else? Chad becomes criminal. I mean, why did I make Lila a criminal here? Can we ever make Ben a criminal? Is Ben what I have to look at next? I think Ben and Chad are opposites forever. Can Gus ever be a criminal now? Because if Gus is ever a criminal now, then that messes up something. Because now Chad and Rose are both needed as innocents, but Rose being an innocent makes Steve a criminal, which makes Kyle a criminal, and now also he ends up with too many criminals. So Gus has to be an innocent. And Gus gives us a new clue. There are 3 criminals on the edges. Criminals. Uma is the first one. The second one is either going to be Ben or Lila because they are both on the edges and opposites. The third one is either going to be Kyle or Peter because they are also opposites on the edges. So Chad, the last person left on the edge who's not an opposite with anybody. I mean, he's an opposite with Rose who's not on the edge, but that means that he has to be an innocent, which makes Rose a criminal, which makes Steve an innocent, Peter a criminal, Kyle an innocent, and Lila an innocent because row 3 needs a third innocent, which makes Ben a criminal. So that was really nice. Very nice long chain there by the end. Wow, and it took me 18 minutes. It didn't feel that long, but I guess it was really, there were some points of attention there where you really had to go beyond what initial scenario you were testing, but it was really nice. I did really like it. I am really excited about this. I want to tell you I'm working on my video about the community puzzle maker editor, and so be on the lookout for that. But I'm also not gonna be streaming today because I have an appointment I need to go to, and probably when I come back I can try to stream, but I won't promise anything because I might come back really late. So I'll just leave you guys here for today and see you tomorrow. Let's hope that we have a brutal puzzle tomorrow and I can redeem myself finally. Bye bye.